Yeah, this is Radio TV Phono Nut back on the SpearTone record player. My old idler wheel that I made from an O-ring somehow developed a crack, and that's the reason it was bumping earlier. So I installed another O-ring, roughed it up with the sandpaper a little bit, and it's much quieter now. I added a 47 microfarad cap to the cathode of the output tube to give it a little boost in audio. And the 27 ohm surge current limiting resistor going into the selenium rectifier cracked while I was moving it out of the way to change or add a cathode capacitor, so I just went ahead and replaced that with a flame-proof resistor. So if the selenium rectifier shorts out, that resistor should just open up instead of go up in flames. But it does pretty good. But for those that didn't see the last video, this was one that the motor bushings are worn a little bit. Now, it's quiet whenever it's in gear, but whenever you put it in neutral, you hear the noise that it makes. And the original rubber on the idler wheel was shot. I was not going to pay $30-something for a wheel rebuild for something with a worn motor bushing, so I replaced it with an O-ring, which is not thick enough, but it's good enough to grip it for 78. So I just installed a screw here on the speed selector, so your only two options are neutral and 78. The filter capacitor was bad. I replaced it with an old Sprag Atom 2-section cap from, I think, 1963. And, of course, the cartridge was bad, and I just replaced it with an old holder I had in my junk box and an old 89T cartridge with a still somewhat okay 78 tip on it. Now, this was more of a resurrection than a restoration, because I know I'm not going to get much for this. So if anybody wants this, it's available. There's a link in the description. I don't expect to get much for it, but I would like to get a little something to cover my investment and what I pay for the thing, and what little bit I've got in parts. Like I told you in the last video, some dork brought me one of these back in the 90s that didn't work, and he claimed he paid $85 for it and wanted me to fix it for nothing. I'm not going to tell the story again. You can watch the last video, but I don't expect to get $85 for this. It would be nice, but I certainly don't anticipate it. Next, we have this Motorola AM radio from 1968 that I recently fixed. I've decided to let it go. It is a USA-made set, and we replaced, I think, 3 bad capacitors or marginal capacitors, and for an entry-level radio, it's pretty sensitive. That's a weak station.
The college without help. Since 1989, the American Indian College Fund has helped thousands of young men and
910 that always squeals unless you get it dead on.
Meridian. This is Meridian's news talk station, AM 1010, WMOX. 6 extra direct.
There's another out-of-town station.
Popcorn! You just give a bang the book. You will get this. You want to boogie again? And you can put me to the
The overmodulated Southern Gospel station.
their third straight in a 128-104 loss to the Nuggets, but the Lakers aren't focusing on their losing.
There's another out-of-town station.
Listen to us. We still doing a lot of great things.
So if anybody wants this one, it's available too.
You were standing there. You came to me in the rain. There we were together.
As far as this record player, if nobody wants it, I'm probably going to shop it for parts. And as far as the motor, yes, I cleaned it and lubricated it. Yes, the bushings are slightly worn enough that it makes noise, but who knows, this motor could last for years and not get any worse. But at any rate, if anybody wants to take a chance on it, it's available.